Okay, so this layer has dried, and you want it nice and dry. You don't want the paper to be damp at all, because that makes the paper a little bit more fragile. And when you're using colored pencils, you generally press down pretty hard, and you could ruin your paper and just, I mean, you could end up fixing it with some acrylic paint and building up layers like that. But rather than trying to deal with fixing things that are broken, it's better to try to, not create those difficulties to begin with. So I'm going to get started creating the layers of colored pencil. And I just want to show you, I have all the pencils nice and sharpened, and I've separated them with my various colors of reds, my grays and black, my highlight and white, and then colorless blender. This is kind of translucent. I don't know if you can see it very well, but and then the various browns, and then these three are blues. There aren't very many blues in this particular moth, but there's a little tiny bit right over here, so and right here. So I'm gonna keep those on reserve. I might end up needing to find some more reds to get exactly the right tones as I build things up, but I do have kind of an orangey red, a pink, and then these two are very close, but they're not exactly the same. One is cadmium red hue. That hue is very important. You don't want to be using cadmium red unless you are very experienced and careful with toxic pigments. Cadmiums are require special handling. And then this one is crimson red. So this one's a little bit darker. And then I have this purple color that I'm going to also layer in with the reds in the areas that need shading. Okay, so now I have my reference photo, and I've zoomed in on the area where I'm going to be working, which is going to be right here along the thorax, underneath the head, right here. Okay, so do you see how I'm building up these colors gradually? And I'm using some of different colors to help build that up. And I'm just going to burnish this one side so you can kind of see how this blends. Whoops. You have to press pretty hard when you're burnishing as opposed to when you're building up colors. But do you see how that blends that so beautifully? And then you can add some more details because you can kind of see the areas that you need to enhance the reds in. And once you've burnished an area, the colored pencil behaves quite a bit differently when you add more on top of it. All right, so I'm going to continue building up the other areas using colored pencil, and I'll show you, the stages and a few additional techniques. But that's the basic one, is you actually, build up using different colors of colored pencil, and then depending on what color the highlights are, you could either use the cream, you could use a pink, a colorless blender, or white. And one isn't necessarily right or wrong. It really just depends on what you want to emphasize, what color you want to emphasize. Okay, so now I'm layering a little bit lighter, brighter red. But the texture of the scales on a moth or butterfly wing is not just a solid smooth. It's actually, a lot of little, see if you can see this. See how that's kind of like little dots? These are little highlights that I'll probably add at the very end. I'm not going to worry about those right now. I could add those with gouache or a little bit of acrylic paint. Alright, so I will continue building up the wings in that way. Okay, this approach is similar to what I was using on the scales of the wings, but this has more of a stippled effect, and so you're not necessarily making even short strokes, or if you are making strokes, they're a little bit shorter yet. I'm also trying to keep separate these little in between the veins of the wings so that it isn't just an all-over pattern, but you can kind of get the sense of the different sections between the veins of the. Okay, now for the edge of the wing, and I'm not done with this part, but I'm going to bring the edge up and then this down and then work on where they meet. Okay, so do you see how that has a little bit more of a natural feel to it rather than the, just coloring it straight across, which would be a little bit less, less natural feeling. All right, now we have these lines. And first I'm drawing these with a lighter brown and a little bit broader lines, a little bit blurrier. And then I'm actually going to take the white and kind of blend those in a little bit. And then, let's see, I need a really sharp, okay, this is black, I don't want that, I want that nice dark umber. And so this is the color that I want, but do you see how the tip has gotten a little bit rounded? I really want to have a crisp line along